Welcome into another Thursday edition of Huddle Up with Howard here on ClaibsOnline.com. I'm Joe Roderick, in for Mike Claiborne today, joined alongside the Mizzou legend, Howard Richards. Howard, exciting week of Mizzou football that's only going to get a whole lot better this weekend as they head to the Dome. But we're, 5 days removed from the big win over Kansas State. You were there in Columbia for it. 5 days removed, what are your thoughts on everything that you saw last Saturday?
I'd say it was a signature win, certainly for Eli Drinkwitz, his biggest win since he's been head coached. Finally beat a ranked team. His first year in 2020, he was able to beat LSU at home. And at the time, it was a big game, but LSU sort of didn't finish strong in the SEC that year. So that game now has a little less meaning. But Kansas State, of course, for many reasons, a rival with Missouri going back as far as the Missouri Valley Conference, Big 6, Big 7, Big 8, and Big 12. That game has a lot of meaning. And, of course, last year Missouri played at Kansas State and got waxed. So there was a little extra incentive for the Tigers this past weekend. And certainly they made it a dramatic finish, winning the game on a 61-yard field goal, which set an SEC record for longest field goal in the conference. Wasn't the Mizzou record.
Right.
Too, yeah. But you think about it, Tom Whalen set that back in the mid-'80s. But a solid win for this team, and one win that I think can inject some confidence into this team. When you play well, you can play well against good teams, and you can have an opportunity to win. But we saw the emergence of the Brady Cook and the benefits of the Kirby Moore offense, being able to stretch the field, throw the ball downfield for long completions, and taking tops off of defenses. Brady was able to spread the ball around to multiple receivers, and so I think you saw a preview of what this offense can be. Now, can they sustain this going forward? You got one more tune-up before SEC play. That's Memphis this Saturday at the Dome here in St. Louis. I expect to see more of the same. Brady Cook's health is questioned right now. He had a sprained knee. But I had to bet. I bet he's probably going to play. How often do you get a chance to play right here in front of your hometown and not be able to suit up and get on the side and get on the field? So I have a feeling with his toughness, he's going to do whatever it takes to get ready. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Sam Horn at some point, given the situation with the knee.
Yeah, the game, and I want to get to Brady Cook, but the game this weekend, as you mentioned, Saturday, it's at the Dome. Mizzou and Memphis, after that field goal went through the uprights, I saw Dave Matter tweet out that 1,500 tickets were sold within about an hour or so of that field goal going through. So winning's contagious. You go 3-0, and that looks a whole lot better on the in the win-loss column. And fans here in St. Louis and from around Missouri have gotten excited now about Mizzou football. 3-0. I think some people were maybe felt a little disrespected by them not being ranked after knocking off Kansas State as well this weekend. So you go into this game with a little momentum and hopefully a large crowd there at the Dome too.
It would certainly make sense. People travel to Columbia. Again, the Kansas State game was sold out. I believe the LSU game in a couple of weeks will be sold out as well. It's a little bit baffling that there's not been an announced sellout, that people aren't buying tickets or haven't bought tickets yet. St. Louis has an alumni base of over 70,000 people. It would seem to be a no-brainer that this game would not be sold out. But I suppose, sometimes things do take a little bit of time, but we've still got 48 hours, a little bit more than 48 hours now to get the thing sold out. So hopefully, even if it doesn't sell out, there will be a good representation. Man, if you can get at least 50,000 people in there, I think that would be a successful. And what that does, if you're showing up for games, that increases the likelihood that you will see more Mizzou games in the future. But if the fans don't show up, it really says we're not interested. And that likely will not influence Mizzou athletics and the sports commission to try to put on another game anytime soon. So hopefully that will not be the case. We'll have a good showing, and fans will be there to see a pretty good matchup between the two Tigers.
Brady Cook, as you mentioned, listed as questionable right now, or I think the thought is that he is going to be questionable going into the game with that knee injury popping back up. So we haven't seen a whole lot of Sam Horn yet with the Tigers this year. Is there, how much of a chance do you think there is that that Eli Drinkwitz is kind of working in the playbook of a few series of Sam Horn and maybe just resting Brady Cook a little bit to get him ready, as you mentioned, a week away from SEC play?
Yeah, I think if you can get Brady a little rest at all, certainly even with the knee, I don't know how effective his running skills would be. You certainly don't want to risk further injury, but he's got to be protected when he's back there as a pocket passer. So certainly the offensive line has to do its part, but I think it would be wise, and just in case Brady can't go the rest of the way, Sam's got to be the guy, and maybe he could conceivably miss multiple weeks. So you want your backup quarterback to be ready and comfortable that he can go in and have command of the offense and get the job done. So would not surprise me if he were sprinkled in a little bit more. You just can't guarantee that your starting quarterback is going to be the guy the entire way. So you better have someone ready in the event he does go down.
Luther Burden with a big game again this past weekend. Thought this stat was really interesting. Last year, 12 games for Luther Burden, 38 catches, 329 yards. 3 games into 2023, already 22 catches for 327 yards. He has almost equaled his entire yardage output from 2022. What has been the biggest difference with number 3 this year?
Well, I think he lost a little weight, which allowed him to get a little faster, along with gaining strength. But I think that jump from year one as a freshman and becoming more acclimated to the offenses, learning all the nuances that you have to learn. And I think guys really can make their biggest jumps from their first year in a particular system into the next system. Maybe moving him to the slot position has offered him more opportunities as well. Regardless of whatever it is, it seems to be working. He's averaging over 100 yards per game in receptions. So, man, that would be a tremendous trend to be able to continue if he could do that. He'd be set to have a huge season for the Tigers, man. And if he can do that, man, I think in the win-loss column, that's going to be favorable for the Missouri Tigers.
That game at 6:30 on Saturday night, and it will be down at the Dome. So full day of watching football before you head down to tailgate and do whatever you need to do down there at the Dome before Memphis Tigers versus Mizzou Tigers this Saturday. Also, around the college football last week, there was such a buzz around college football. One of the, I would say, just one of the most exciting weekends, exciting buildups that we have seen in the college football world over the last few years, and it's all because of primetime, all because of Deion Sanders and what he has done and brought to Colorado. What you have seen now, 3 weeks of Coach Prime there in Colorado. We saw what he did in Jackson State, but now it's at a different level. This is really, it's almost unseen in the college ranks for just what one coach has been able to do, bringing this star power, these celebrities out to a game at a school that hasn't been known for football in quite some time.
Deion Sanders, in what he's been able to accomplish, throughout his athletic life, is nothing short of amazing. The guy can go and play a football game, a baseball game, run track in one day. He also played in an NFL game and a World Series game in one day. The only person that's ever done that, and probably the only person that ever will do that. I mean, that's quite a feat.
Yeah.
But also at the level of which he has performed, he's a Hall of Famer in the NFL. It's hard to wrap your mind around it at times. But Nick Saban really paid him the ultimate compliment and just said he's a really good coach. And I don't think anything that he's done at Colorado has been an accident. But I will say it has been a bit of a surprise when you have such roster turnover that that team had, along with only winning one game last year. Now they've won three. Um, it's and they've won it in exciting fashion. I mean, big numbers, especially that first game against TCU, what Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders were able to do. And then last week against Colorado State, a game that's got so much attention because of all the trash talking before the game. It did not disappoint. Deion's Colorado Buffaloes had to come from behind, but they were able to get the win in overtime against Colorado State. Game that's wasn't without some controversy. But man, I actually stayed up till, I don't know, almost 2:00 watching the game.
Made it up longer than I did.
I saw the finish.
I tried.
I couldn't believe it. I thought, man, okay, they're going to lose to their rival, but they were not denied, man. They fought through it and through some controversy. The big hit on Travis Hunter, which has caused a lot of controversy. But it was fun. He's been fun to watch. He's been really good for college football this season, especially.
And it shows too. He's not there drawing up plays. He's not doing the X's and O's. The motivation that he brings, along with knowing to hire the right guys and knowing who to let call the plays and who to coach on the sidelines, it really just shows just how much he gets it. And for anybody that thinks he has an ego, he puts all that aside to win these football games.
He does. He's been around a lot of football, playing it in college, of course, playing under Bobby Bowden at Florida State and all the teams that he played for at San Francisco and Dallas, quality organizations that are used to winning. He's been around winners at every step of the way. But he's also picked up on and has been able to observe how other successful coaches have run their organization. And I would say that you've got to really give him direct credit for what he has absorbed in those situations at every level and how he's putting it all together right there. It's no surprise. I mean, that you knew he'd be successful regardless, because he's just got that mindset and that ability and that exuberance amount of confidence that his players have absorbed it, because it's so infectious. And, they are playing sort of as an extension of him. And, he's got two sons on the team and they know how to get it done. They're not going to slack off. So to me, those are also great examples for the other teammates that may have thought, how are we going to do this? But they see, hey, if his kids are getting it done, we've got to get it done as well. Been fun to watch. It's been really fun to watch. And they've got two big games coming up on their schedule this weekend and next, playing Oregon, a ranked team. And then the following week, you're playing the Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams, and USC in the following week. So it will not be an easy task for Colorado. But listen, I wouldn't dare try to pick a winner. But I do believe it's going to be competitive in one way, shape, form, or fashion.
I can tell you this, that Colorado-Oregon game this week, that will be part of our picks that we do on Weekend Joe. So when I send those out, Howard, that'll be one of those this weekend. Oregon, a 20.5-point favorites in that game, number 10 versus number 19, and it's a 3-touchdown spread in that game. So even though the number is there next to Colorado's name, Vegas still isn't showing them the respect.
Vegas may have to learn, because I believe it was a 20-point spread when they played TCU, right?
Yeah.
I think it was. That played in the national championship game. So it remains to be seen how well they do. But I think regardless, you're going to see some sort of excitement when those two teams hit the field this weekend and the following week when USC and Colorado play.
the big hit, as you mentioned, on Travis Hunter with Colorado State. I don't know if that's dirty play, if that's just a rivalry game kind of taking its toll on guys and not really, just kind of thinking in the moment. But when you saw that play happen, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was a dirty play. Anything close to the sidelines like that, and it seemed as though Hunter had stopped, if I'm not mistaken. And then the other player on the Colorado State's team, the defender, I can't remember his name, seemed to take a cheap shot.
Henry Blackburn, I believe, right?
Yeah, and you've got to be more disciplined to that. And I just think now, especially given that Hunter has a lacerated liver. Listen, I lost a teammate who had to end his career as a result of a lacerated liver. That was Drew Pearson, Hall of Famer Drew Pearson. Now, it didn't happen in a football game. It happened in an automobile accident, but the results are the same. What Hunter has going for him is that he's youthful. He's a young guy. Pearson was towards the end of his career, so that could be one of the reasons why he was not able to return to the field. But nonetheless, I don't think there's any place for it. And, it should probably be treated like a targeting penalty. Defenseless player, a late hit like that, and, all the hallmarks are there. And maybe this kid should be suspended at least maybe for half of the next game. And I think you send a message that, listen, this is a fun game, but we don't have any place for dirty play. You can enjoy yourselves and be aggressive, but everything you do needs to be between the lines, and don't take any player's health into your hands and sort of jeopardize that. End a kid's career. A kid who we know is going to have an outstanding career at some point, probably at the next level too. So you would just hate to see anything. Hope he recovers fully and is able to return this year without any further medical complications.
We got a lot more injuries to talk about at the NFL level, and we will do that here in 30 seconds on Huddle Up with Howard on ClaibsOnline.com.
There's always been a bright side to living in downstate Illinois. Ameren, Illinois is making it even brighter with a little help from the sun. Right now, we're building a next-generation solar facility to bring you cleaner energy for generations to come. It's good for the environment, your neighborhood, and everyone living in downstate Illinois. That's brighter thinking. That's energy at work. Learn how you can participate in solar programs at amerenillinois.com/renewables.
Back here, Huddle Up with Howard, Joe Roderick in for Mike Claiborne, joined alongside by Howard Richards here on ClaibsOnline.com. And Howard, 2 Monday Night Football games, or actually 3 Monday Night Football games in the books, but both of those Monday nights, we have seen really major injuries, losing stars of the NFL in both of those. Aaron Rodgers in week 1, and then Nick Chubb in week 2 in the Steelers and Browns game. And you can make an argument that both of those could have been prevented had the playing surfaces been natural grass instead of the artificial turf that they were being played on.
I totally agree. And, even in the first game with Aaron Rodgers, the field was probably a little bit of wet. There was some rain from the previous day, and that day also because of the Cowboys and Giants had played on the same field. So when you've got that slippery factor along with playing on a fake field, if you will, the propensity for, or the likelihood for injuries is that much greater. I think here's a simple physics lesson. So if people understand, if you've ever seen a horse race, a horse that's running down on, a dirt track, right? You see the horses kicking up dirt. That's force that's being displaced, okay? If that horse were running on a non-dirt track, that force that's exerted, what's it do? It just bounces and reflects right back through your body. Mm-hmm. And once it hits the weakest point, which is the knee joint, you got the possibility of a joint failure there. And that's really what happens in that situation. When I saw Aaron Rodgers go down, I saw him lift his left ankle with his right ankle to keep it from dangling. And once I saw that, even before I saw the reverberation of his calf, it seemed pretty evident to me that he'd probably torn his Achilles. It's guys can come back from it, but it may take him a little bit longer simply because of his age. And I believe the fact that he plays quarterback and not another position should enable him to come back reasonably without any problems. I'm sure he'll have the best care and rehab going for him. So if he wants to come back, he should be able to. Nick Chubb, on the other hand, I didn't see the hit, but it was described to me. It's the same knee that he suffered when he was in college at Georgia. Now, he didn't do the ACL then, but he had major ligament damage. And I don't know, after the way it was described as I won't say a catastrophic injury, but a significant injury. With his status as a running back, and we know how running backs are treated and looked at in the NFL with the standpoint of value, I just don't know if this is something that he will be able to come back from. It's unfortunate because he was really trending as one of the best running backs in the league and has been. And an overall good guy, good for the game, tremendous leader. His players have the utmost respect for him, and the opponents have the utmost respect for him too. So, and I just hope that I hope he can return if he wants to, and that it's not a career-ending type of injury.
Well, you've seen it. I think the one that's made the most news is Lionel Messi in MLS. He will not play on artificial surfaces. He's come over to the MLS, and he sat out a game just this past weekend because they're playing on artificial surfaces, and he will only play on natural grass. And it hasn't really come out and been said and confirmed, but the lineman for the Green Bay Packers, David Bakhtiari, has not played a game, I believe, in the last 2 years now on artificial surfaces, being listed as out for various injury reasons. And neither him nor the head coach will confirm that that's the case, but all signs are kind of pointing to him not playing there either. So you're seeing players start to take a stand in various sports from not wanting to play on these surfaces. And when you lose two stars like that, I kind of think it's going to start happening a lot more.
I agree. I'll just share my own personal experience. In college at Mizzou, we practiced on grass. In fact, we had 7 grass fields, and our game field at Faroe Field was grass. It had been for many, many years until someone made the determination that you couldn't grow grass at Faroe Field for, I don't know, whatever reason, a fungus or something like that. Try harder. But I was able to start 40 straight games, never missed a game when I was in college, and never got hurt until my 3rd year in the league. By the way, playing at home in St. Louis against the Big Red on the worst artificial surfaces ever, blow out my knee, tear a tendon. And then 3 years later, I do the same thing on the other knee playing in the Silver Dome in Detroit. So I think it's more than just a coincidence that those major knee injuries happened on non-grass surfaces. I've always been a fan of playing everything on grass with regard to football and practicing on grass. We're practicing on grass, even though we had an artificial surface at Texas Stadium. The fact that we practiced on grass is what enabled me to play as long as I did. And I think Dan Deerdorf, Hall of Famer and Hall of Fame broadcaster, will tell you that his injuries are directly related to playing on artificial surfaces, not just because he played the game of football. So to me, listen to guys like that have played a long time and are feeling the effects, from the game of playing on unnatural surfaces, if you will. So I think it's something that, from a collective bargaining standpoint, it's a little bit early between the Players Association and the NFL to start to try to come to fruition unless they can somehow amend it. But I got to believe that this is going to be a point of emphasis. And a lot of times, the players will, when you talk about player safety and player health, this is one of the things to me that would be an easier fix, by doing so, because I think it will extend some players' careers and also reduce the amount of significant injuries that you're seeing.
And the money that it has been reported that it would take to convert all of these fields to natural grass is really far less than some of the investments that they're making in some of these star players too. So it's just kind of a matter of, a question of why they don't want to do it at this point.
Yeah, originally I think this all evolved because a lot of football teams and baseball teams shared stadiums. For an example, the old Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. All three of those stadiums were shared by both the football teams and the baseball teams. And so really it was, we all know you can play football in dirt and mud. Baseball games tend to get rained out. So it's really AstroTurf or artificial surfaces that kind of won out in those cases. But over the long term, it has proven to not be good, which is why they've, artificial surfaces have evolved in the technology and the way that they're made. But I still think it's nothing better than playing on grass. And I think grass will significantly reduce the amount of injuries that people will suffer, especially in the long term.
We will see what kind of steps are taken or what other stories come out with that during the NFL season. 15 weeks left to go in the regular season, and that all begins tonight with your Dallas Cowboys. Wait, are your Cowboys playing tonight, or is it? No, it's a Giants 49ers. I'm sorry.
Giants 49ers.
Giants 49ers tonight. The 49ers get a chance to be on the national stage this evening after two very impressive wins to start the season. As Klebs and I talked about earlier this week on Monday, I think they're the front runners for best team in the NFL right now after two games.
They are. I have also seen a lot of votes for the Dallas Cowboys simply because of the defense has played such outstanding football, created all the turnovers that they have. And man, when you get a team like that on a roll, they are hard to stop. And the offense really hasn't had to do a whole lot, but they still have that firepower. And it's a different season now with Mike McCarthy calling plays. And obviously he's been a play caller before and did so in a Super Bowl. I think if you ask him, he's trying to get back to that point where he won that Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers at the helm.
Well, week 5 is 49ers and Cowboys down in Dallas. That's a Sunday night game and or front runner for game of the year, I would think, to mark on your calendar. Howard, once again, Mizzou and Memphis on Saturday down at the Dome. Are you making any kind of appearances, any kind of tailgates that you want to let the folks know about if they want to come by and shake your hand and talk a little football with you before the game?
I am doing something with the Sports Commission around 3:20, 3:30 with Will Franklin, former Mizzou player. I'm trying to find out exactly where it is, if they did provide that information for me. But it will be somewhere. If you look for the Sports Commission tent or space at around 3:20, 3:30, you'll find me there. So we'll just be talking about the game and previewing it and talking about Will's experience having played there before. I never did as a Missouri Tiger. But the importance of being able to play in front of your home crowd as a collegiate player, and even for me as a professional to be able to come back and play in a stadium where I grew up as a kid watching the Big Red play was something special. So I think for the 20 young men that are on Mizzou's roster, should be something special for them to be able to have their friends and family in the stands playing in front of their home folks.
We'll have a great call on Saturday night. Klebs should be back, I believe. I think, though, there's a chance I might be filling in for him again next week as well. So if that's the case, look forward to talking with you all about it next week as we get into week 4 of the college football. No, week 5 of the college football season. Week 4 of the NFL season. Howard, thank you as always. It's been a great chat with you this afternoon.
Thanks, Joe, and hey, good luck to you this weekend in your half Ironman competition.
Yeah. We'll see. You know what? We'll see who's in better physical shape next week to host between me and Klebs.
I'm voting for you. I'm going to vote for you because I know what he's going to be doing this time next week.
He's Howard Richards. I'm Joe Roderick. This has been Huddle Up with Howard here on KlebsOnline.com.
Munganast St. Louis Acura has a great selection of new and certified pre-owned Acuras. Get 3.9% financing for up to 36 months on all new Acura models, or get $1,000 in loyalty incentives on the 2023 TLX and RDX, and $750 in loyalty incentives on the 2024 Integra. Get financing as low as 1.99% for up to 36 months on certified pre-owned TLX and MDX models. Munganast St. Louis Acura, better than ever for you.